already. I'll try in this talk to speak the British English. No, I'm just kidding. I will not do that. So my name is ALOUANE. I'm a software engineer working as a CTO Academy at Serviu Group. And today I will try to talk about how I discovered Rust and how now I'm trying to learn it. And I think that because I'm a beginner in Rust, it will be more easy for me to try to share my experience as a beginner for all people that want to start learning Rust. And maybe after 3 or 4 years, it will be more difficult to explain because I'm socialized with some Rust developers, and after 5 or 6 years in doing Rust, they can't explain some basic things. So I said maybe I should do a talk for people like me that they are trying to start learning or they are trying to discover Rust. That's it. So, but before learning Rust, the first thing that you should do is eat well, because you should never start learning Rust while you're hungry, okay? You will not concentrate. And if you want to eat something before learning Rust, I advise you to eat an original couscous. And by original, I mean the Moroccan one, okay? There is some restaurant here nearby here for the Moroccan couscous, so I advise you to go there, okay? So that's the first lesson. Never touch Rust when you're hungry, okay? So before starting learning Rust, imagine that we want to go and eat a couscous in a restaurant, okay? And when we go, the waiter told us that we should wait 45 minutes for the couscous and we should pay 200 pounds. That's a lot of money, okay? I think. But near this restaurant, there is another one who told us that we can get the same quality of the couscous, but only with 14 pounds and in 15 minutes. I think that you will choose the second one, yes? And you will write bad reviews for the first one. Tell your friends that they should never come to this restaurant and all of these things. And that's the thing about Rust, is to pay less money and save time. So, before talking about Rust, the talk is about how I discovered it. So I discovered it via articles, try to write some articles about Rust, and because when I'm trying to learn something, I try to write about it as someone who is starting learning, okay? So the first thing that I saw about Rust, it was a use case of Discord between Go and Rust. So what was the context? Discord is a company, it's a product-based company who have Discord, and they have a microservice called Red State. So this service is doing what? It's doing the tracking of your messages in channels, and it tracks the message that was reading or not, okay? And they did this microservice with Go, okay? They did it with Go, it was working well, but one day they discovered that there is every 2 minutes spike latency. Okay, that's great, but the service is working well, but they discovered that, so they tried to debug, see what's going on there, and they discovered that the garbage collector of Go is forcing Go to start the garbage collector every 2 minutes to clean the memory, okay? And that was a problem for them. So what they started to do is to improve and to debug in the garbage collector of Go, trying to improve it, trying to do something that will fix that, but they didn't do it. And what they did, they talked to some friends in other teams of Discord, and they recommended to use Rust, okay? So, as all developers do, rewrite. That's good. All times you should rewrite, because we are here to rewrite every time, okay? I have five years in my career, and I did, I think, 2 or 3 refont projects. It's rewrite projects of something before, okay? From Angular to React, from VB5 to Java, or something like that, okay? So they did it in Rust, and what they noticed is there is no spike latency. The question is why? It's because Rust doesn't have a garbage collector. It has a thing called the borrow checker that manages your memory in the compile time and not in the runtime, okay? We'll try to discover that in our demo. I have another case of Tenable.io. So, Tenable.io had their applications send in a lot of metrics to Datadog, okay? But after time, they had some absolute metrics. They didn't want to send an absolute metrics to Datadog. So they said, we will go to our apps, it's legacy code, and we will try to change something, to modify our legacy code. And it was very risky. And it will take a lot of time, a lot of money, and a lot of risk. So they said, maybe we'll do what? We will add a proxy filter here that will filter our metrics for us, okay? And it will filter only, it will send what we want to send to Datadog, and it will filter to absolute metrics. After some month, they added more than 1.4 million new metrics. So it was hard for the filter proxy to filter that. The question here, the proxy filter was done by what? With Node.js, okay? It was chosen for its performant network, but after the 1.4 million metrics, the proxy consumed 1,000 CPUs and 700 gigabytes of RAM. That's a lot of money. Yes. So they did what? In the service, they wrote it in Node.js, I think in 1 week. They deployed after 1 week. After that, they decided to do what? Rewrite. That's good. You should always rewrite things. And they write it in what? In Rust. So after rewriting the same service in Rust, they had what as a result? They consumed 75% less of CPUs and 95% less of memory. That's a lot. Yes, it's 75% less of CPUs and 95% less of memory. Okay? So that was the impact of Rust. Here I have another example for front-end developers, because Rust is not only in the backend or in the system, but we have here a new framework called Quick that works very differently from other front-end frameworks. So what's Quick doing is doing at the compile time a lot of dividing of chunks of your applications to have multiple chunks of JavaScript. And this job needs a lot of compilation to do. Really, they want to use a good performance tool, okay? Because if they use something else, it will take a lot of time in the compile time for a front-end framework. And no one will use it. So they decided to do it with Rust. We have also ALOUANE, the creator of Vue.js and Vite, who is trying to convert working on roll down a Rust port of rollup. He is trying to work also Vercel. They are trying to rewrite Webpack in TurboPack with Rust. He's trying to rewrite rollup with Rust in roll down. So a lot of things in the market are going on with Rust. It's not because when we are talking always about Rust, we think it's only nerdy things. It's only developers who are excited about the language and all of that. But really, it's crazy what's going on, and I think that we should maybe we should learn and see what's we go. Okay, and in the company where I work, for example, we had the solution called Shinken, which it was written with the Python, and now the CTO of this company told me that he will rewrite a lot of things in Rust. Why? Because he did some benchmarking. He found that he will pay less money for its services, and it will help him, okay? So what we learn with Rust is pay less money and save the planet, because you will consume less resources. And I remember the first time I learned about Rust, it was in a trip. I was going from Paris to Belgium, and it was a podcast in Spotify called Ship It. And they were talking about the services in AWS that they are trying to rewrite a lot of services in Rust. And I learned after that also Azure is doing the same thing, and maybe Google Cloud also. I don't know for Google Cloud. But why? Because he explained that if he rewrites a service in Rust, maybe he can offer the same service of AWS with less money to be competitive in the market. So that's really bizarre thing, but it's, I don't know if they will they will decrease the prices, but that's what he says. Okay. Here, for example, it was yesterday when I was revising my slides. I found that technical director in Google called Lars Bergstrom. He said that because when we are talking about trust, we are always talking about productivity. You will pass a lot of time in coding, a lot of errors. It will take a lot of time to learn. But he said that Rust teams at Google are as productive as ones using Go. He said that, and Go, it's a Google language, okay? And more than twice as productive as teams using C++. That's what he said, okay, in Google. Here, Rust first impression. So the first thing after learning about Rust, trying to learn Rust, searching about it, the first thing I do is search in YouTube. So the first thing I found in YouTube, so the logo, the crab, the orange crab, I found the Prime agent. And when I started watching the videos of the Prime agent doing Rust with Vim, I had this insecurity as a developer. I said, maybe I'm not a developer, I'm only an imposter here. He's writing with the Ergo keyboard, writing directly in Vim, doing Rust like that. For me, it was something crazy. I didn't want to learn Rust after seeing his videos, because for me, he's genius. He's doing things very fast. I can never do it like him. And I thought that in order to write in Rust, you should use Vim, because I saw that all the videos on YouTube are using Vim. Always are using Vim. No one is using VS Code. Only Vim. And I had this imposter syndrome, or this insecurity about learning Rust. It was really a block for me. I couldn't do it, okay? And I bought also the book. It's like the Bible of Rust, the Rust programming language. It was very difficult. I tried to start reading the book. I read, I think, 3 chapters. And it's not that difficult, but it gives you a lot of information. A lot of information. In the beginning of the learning of Rust, they give you a lot of information. You should know that. You should know that. And it was a lot for me. Maybe I'm not that. There's a lot of people who appreciated this book, but for me it was too much. I'm an average developer who is trying to learn Rust. Okay, it was two things for me. It was not easy. So what I did, I think I stopped learning Rust in 2-3 months. Did nothing. I stayed with my JavaScript, doing Angular. I'm okay, okay? After that, what I did, I found Rust meetup in Paris. Some guys who are doing a meetup every month. So I said, what? Maybe I should go socialize with them, okay? That's a good thing for me. I will do nothing. I will only go, listen, and go out after that. That's what I did. And it was also difficult for me because the people that I found there, it's really Rust developers. They are here talking only about Rust. And the first talk was what? Here is a program that I wrote in Rust. Here is its conversion to assembly, how it's working behind the scenes. And he started talking about something I didn't understand. I said, maybe I should not be here. These developers are really very genius. I can't do it. But what's the good thing about that? And I forget how I started learning, because they tried, when I started talking to them, they told me, no, you can, it's not that difficult, you can do it. You should only find the resources that will fit you. It's not every book or every video series, it's for everyone. Everyone has its things that will fit him, okay? So I searched for some platforms. It's not an ad here, because that's only I'm trying to share how I'm trying to learn Rust, okay? I found a live project in Manin Publication. It's a publisher that sells books and also video series and live projects. And they have a live project called Build FinTech Platform in Rust. And how they try to, if you want to learn it, it's really very easy, because you will start a real project. You will start doing a real project in Rust, and it has, I think, 3 courses, and you will start with fundamentals intermediate, in some intermediate advanced things. And you will start a real project. There is a description of what you should do. You should do that, you should do that. Here is an example code. Here is, for example, how you should do that, the code of Rust. And we want this functionality. You can inspire from this one, okay? So it tries to help you to learn Rust by doing, and I think it's something great for me. It works. I finished now the first course of this series. And there is a good course that I found about Rust also. It's Rust for TypeScript developers from the Prime agent, but it was really different from the videos because it's in I think in front-end masters. It's a good course when he tried to explain Rust really very easy, and I inspired from him for the demo also. He did a lot of explanation. It was really easy to learn. It was not something very difficult, okay? And I bought also a book from Guillaume Gomez. He's the guy who is running the Rust meetups in Paris. It's in French. I don't know if there is also a version in English. It's only 200 pages, I think, and it tries to give you what you need as a beginner in Rust. It's very simple to learn. It's not that complicated. That's it. So what we will try to do now is I will try to do a small demo only to show you how, when I tried to learn Rust, what I found, what was easy for me, what was difficult, and what I'm struggling about now, okay? So it's really not easy to do a demo as a beginner, but I will do it, okay? So here I'm trying to code with VS Code. I don't care about Vim because they told me that Vim will take you 1 year to learn. So I will only use VS Code. I don't care. I want to code in Rust, not, I don't care about Vim, okay? So the Prime agent will not like that. So I will start with our simple main function in Rust. We will do only simple print with hello devox, okay? I will see if it's working. Cargo run. It's working. Hello devox. So what I will do now, I will create some small complex things. I will create structs. Struct is like an object in Rust, okay? Struct called item, and it contains a variable called count with its an unsigned integer. And here I will create a simple function called add1. And this function, it will take a variable, a mutable variable, because variables in Rust, for example, are directly immutable. If you want them to be mutable, to change them, you should declare that in your definition, okay? So we'll declare a simple mute item of type item here. And here I will call this item count, and I will do simple add1. Okay? Here I will come and I will declare a variable called data of type item count 1, 2, 3. Okay? That's good. And here I will call add1 on data. That's good. And here I will try, after the add1, to display the data. Here I will need, I think, this debug for structs in order to work. And I will call it like that in Rust. It's really very easy. Here. So the first thing that I have is an error here. So we'll try to compile. It gives me an error. This parameters takes ownership of the values. So it's a simple code that can function in a lot of languages, but in Rust it doesn't work. Why? So you didn't forget about the couscous. Yes. So if you give a couscous to someone, he will eat it. You will never eat it after him. Okay. That's what's going on in Rust. It's like we did the function. It eats the variable. So you can never use it after that. So if you want to use it after, you will only, the thing that you will do is trying to learn what the compilator is saying to you. Okay? It's really very easy. So here it explained that value borrowed here. After move, you are trying to call value that is moved, that this function took ownership of it. So you can't use it after that. And what he's trying to say here, for example, consider changing this parameter type in function add1 to borrow instead of owning the value if it isn't necessary. So what he's trying to say, instead of giving the couscous to the guy, give him only the address of where it exists, the reference, okay? So that's what we'll try to do here. We'll give only the address of the couscous here. It gives us another error. It says, consider borrowing here with a reference, because here you're waiting for a reference value, so you should send here a reference. What is said now, you want to change the reference, you can't. You gave him only the address of the couscous. You can't add the vegetable to it. So you should do what? You should borrow with a mutable reference. What you should add is, it should be this reference should give the right to mutate, to change the value, okay? And there is another error. Also, you will stay here with errors. Type differ in mutability. You're passing what? A reference to a function that is waiting for a mutable reference. So you will do what? Okay, I will give you mutable reference here. Good. Another error. Okay, why? What you're trying? Cannot mutate an immutable variable. Okay, because the data, what I'm trying to say here is that in the compile time, Rust is trying to manage the memory. It's not in the runtime. You can't compile your code if it's not clean. You will get always errors. And here he's saying it's a reference mutable of a value, but you declare this variable as immutable because you didn't add the mute keyword. Okay, I will add the mute keyword. And now I think it works. Okay, 1, 2, 4, and it added the 1. Okay, it took a lot of time, but as a beginner, it was for me really difficult to learn that because I'm coming from Java and the JavaScript background. But after a little of time, I try to understand, to do my best. But now I think I can understand some logic there. But it still, I get a lot of error when I'm trying to learn Rust. So what we will do now? That's good. It's working fine. But why we are using structs? Maybe we can remove this and we will use directly a variable. Okay, so we don't need that. We will only do it like this. And here I will not use, I will name it count. That's good. And here count. That's its count. Okay, that's good. Well, I have a problem here. Normally it's reference mutable, but I have an error. I didn't change anything. It was only in struct that I changed to a primitive, but it shows me an error. Why? Binary assignment operation cannot be applied on type reference mutable. Okay, can be used on integer if you dereference the left side with this. Okay, it doesn't work. If you want to change a primitive that is a mutable reference, you should dereference it. Okay, so you should say explicitly that I want to dereference this variable and add the 1 in order that it works. Now it works. Why? Because this is decision by Rust is if you are using objects, you use only the pointer, point, count. Okay, they understand that it's an automatic dereferencing. But when you're using primitives, you should go and dereference yourself, your variable, because it's good to send reference, not the variable itself, because you will send not all the variable to the function, so you will not consume memory for that, but you will send only the address for it. But when you want to modify that, you should access the value and access the variable to modify it. Okay? So now that's the good part of the demo. I have 6 minutes. So what I will try to do is take this concept of ownership, of borrowing, with other concepts in Rust. Okay? So what I will do now, I will try to create vec. Let's mute data, and it's what? It's vec of 1 with type integer, assigned integer, 2, 3. Okay? And I will create threads to increment in this vec. Okay? So what I will do is I will create 4 e in 0 3. It's good to discover how writing Rust. It was for when I started doing the basic things. It was really, it was not easy for me coming from Java and JavaScript background. And because the thing about when I started to learn Rust, they told me that I don't have a C and C++ background. And that was my problem. The first language that I started, it was Java, because I didn't do development in my school. So I did only a conversion of career from telecom to software engineering. So I started with the Java to find a job, and that was not easy for me. Okay, so here I will try to call a thread on spawn, and Rust, it helps me. So how I can use threads in Rust? I will copy only this, and I can start threads. Okay, that's good. That's working. Okay, great. What I will do now, I will call the add function on what? Here I'm calling it on reference mutable, on reference mute of data of what? Of this vec normally here. Okay, but only I will pass the e. Okay, I don't want to use that. Here I have another error. I can't use it like that. So what's the closure it tells me here? If you're using threads, you should give the ownership of this variable to the thread here. So to force the closure to take ownership of data, you should use the keyword move in order to not have data arrays. Okay? So what I will try to do, okay, I will give you the variable here. It should work. No, it doesn't work. Why? Use of moved value data. Value moved into closure here in previous iteration of loop. In the previous iteration of the thread, it uses already the data. So you can't use it another time because the first thread, it took the ownership of the variable. So you can't use it after that. Okay? So here we will call a type called mutex in order to have explicit accessibility to this variable without data arrays. Okay? And to lock it also here. So I will add the mutex, new, and I will call it the vec here. And before, I will try to lock this mutex in order to not be accessible by other threads. So here I will define let's mute data of what? So here it's not, it's mutex. Mutex. Okay, data, and I will lock the data here. Lock, so it will not be accessible by other threads. So here, what's going on? It's not data with S, it's only data. I have another error. What is the error here? I can't do this. Oof. So it says that you cannot be sent between threads safely. That's the problem. You have multiple threads that are using the same variable, so maybe you will have a concurrency there, you will have data arrays there, and you can't fix that. Okay. So what you should use, you should call a type called arc. Okay, and arc new, and here I will call the type mutex. And now what I will do, I will lock, I will call here a clone to clone multiple strong references to the same mutex, to have multiple references to the same variable. So I will do let's mute data. It's what? It's data here, lock. It's not lock, it's clone. It's clone. And I will move the lock. I will lock it in the here in the trade. So I have no error. That's great. It will work. I will see nothing. I have nothing. I should print it. So here I will try to print that. Print hello Devox. And here I will call what? I will call the data. So I have 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3 different things. Why? Because the principal trade, it stops and the other trades didn't stop yet. So you will have this multiple variables. So to fix that, the principal trade should wait for the other trades to finish. How to do it? It's very simple. You come here, you create handles of Vic. It's a lot of code, okay? And here I will define the handle and I will push it, handle, push it, handles, push the handle to it. And here I will come and do for each handle, in handles, what you should do, you should wait for this trade to finish before finishing the principal trade. So I will call it like that, handle, join, and wrap. And so here I have an error. What's going on here? It's let's mute handles. It should be mutable because it was immutable. So now I will run my program and it's working fine every time because the principal trade waited for the other trades. And here are the resources that I inspired from to do this talk as a beginner, for also because the talk was for beginners to try to learn Rust. That's what I learned until now, and I'm trying to improve that. Thank you so much.